So I guess I've been playing in the States now for about a month. I have 2 kids now, so I usually go out for 2 weeks and then try to go home for 2 weeks. That's my general sort of schedule. So anyway, I did 2 weeks in the Midwest of America, and now I'm doing the East Coast and just about to finish up. We're down in Florida now. We started up in Connecticut and made our way all the way down here. So everything's been going great, man. You know, I had a sold-out show last night in Atlanta and played in Charlotte for the first time, North Carolina. You know, it's just great that everything's still rolling really well. You know, can't complain. And so we're in Ponte Vedra tonight, and then we got Largo, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, Pensacola, and then Mobile, Alabama. And then I go home for Halloween, just like about a few days, and then it's off to Hawaii, and so really stoked for that. I'm going to do about 7 shows over there, and then it's over to the West Coast to finish up the year in December. Monetizing music, yeah, it's pretty difficult still, really. I'm actually completely independent now. I started my own label earlier this year to release my latest EP. Because I had tried a couple labels in the past, and you know, traditionally, in the good old days, I guess you could say, labels were very supportive of the artists and would you know, support tours and do a lot of marketing, but that doesn't really happen so much anymore, at least not in my experience, other than putting videos on YouTube, you know, which only goes so far. You have to convert that into a job, you know, was the trick of, for me, and I guess for anybody that wants to break out via the internet, you've got to turn that into a real life sort of career. So for me, it was a matter of finding a manager and a booking agency and all those things, and hitting the road. So I think really, you know, most musicians and artists would tell you that the way to make an income as a musician is by touring and performing. You can't really just release a record and have to hope to have a, you know, a career. It doesn't really work anymore, I don't think. So, you know, what I do is I have sheet music, which I have available on my website. You know, I try to keep it really cheap because, of course, that stuff's for free everywhere else on the internet. But you know, you try to appeal to people who are like, yeah, use your support. So, you know, I have those things for like $2, things like that. And I also have a thing with Hal Leonard where I've released a couple of music books. People can get entire folios through them. And then, you know, just selling the music at the shows and then online to support the tour stuff. It's still pretty tricky right now. I don't know what the answer is yet, but I've tried going it on my own right now. We'll see how it pans out. You
would probably be a good person to ask this question just because you do have an epic YouTube video. A few, but you know, one in particular. Mm-hmm. Is that contributory enough in terms of monetizing a YouTube video to be financially meaningful in any way?
Well,
I mean, I'm not asking for specifics,
no,
you know,
sure.
but I'm just saying generally speaking.
Generally speaking, well, in my case, it's a bit unique. I know that there are stories of people that have YouTube channels where they have so many subscribers and they're getting ad revenue, and it's like that's their job. So I've always been pretty impressed by that. In my case, all of my really viral videos were actually released through the record label that I was with at the time. So the owner of the label, splits those sort of ad revenue stuff up, you know, between the artists, and you know, he gives me whatever I'm supposed to get from mine. But you know, it's not my channel, so I don't really get a big income from that at all. You know, and so I have my own channel now, which I've just kind of started to get active on, put a few videos on, and you know, just trying to keep a little bit of a presence on YouTube anyway. But most of the time I'm out on the road doing shows and whatever, so it's stay a bit more busy with that, I guess. So I started playing in 1992 when I turned 13 years old, and the reason why I started playing was that I heard Eric Johnson, which, you know, he's pretty well known as an amazing guitar player, I mean, of course. But for me, it was kind of a couple things. You know, I really fell in love with the guitar when I heard him, and I also fell in love with instrumental music. But I think what I was drawn to, I know what I was drawn to more than just his ability to play, was he was like so melodic, and I'd never experienced you know, the guitar really being used that way, where it was the complete focus of the whole song. You know, it wasn't just a guitar solo that came in and then back to the verse and chorus with the singer or whatever. But well, particularly Cliffs of Dover was the song, you know, it was on the radio in 1991. And so I asked for a guitar for my next birthday. But So yeah, I mean, I was drawn to all those things, you know, instrumental, and it was the guitar, and it was just this beautiful melodic thing. So you know, I kind of got into other players. You know, I got into Joe Satriani a lot because he's that way too. I think, you know, very melodic. You know, is able to simulate a great melodic line that you would hear somebody sing on a guitar. You know, and it's like you're not missing anything in the pieces of music, this instrumental music that he comes up with. You know, it's just great melodies and all that. So I was drawn more to those guys. I never really got into, like, say, Yngwie. I mean, he's mind-blowing, you know, his sweep picking, all that. But, you know, it just didn't really connect with me in the same way as, like, if I listened to Eric Johnson or Joe Satriani. I got into Dream Theater, you know, when Images and Words came out, and their next album, Awake. Those two are my favorites from them. I love their newer stuff, too, but those have, like, a special place for some reason. I really, really love what they were doing, you know. That got me into more complicated music as far as, like, time signatures being weird and unusual sort of guitar riffs and all that. So yeah, that was kind of where I started. But then, you know, got into the acoustic a few years later when I discovered Preston Reed, and then led to Michael Hedges and other guys, and that was it.
Have you pretty much been there since? I mean, you're mainly focusing on musical ideas through acoustic playing.
Yeah. I have electric guitars at home, but it's more just for fun, kind of. I don't find myself writing music really on the electric guitar. I don't know why. I guess what the big switch was for me to the acoustic was just being able to cover so many aspects of music on one guitar. You know, with the electric, I was used to playing riffs and all that, then maybe taking a solo or whatever, you know, rather than trying to cover everything at once on the acoustic guitar. So I found that really appealing, and I still do. It's what resonates with me the most, I guess. So out on this tour here in the U.S., I've got my three sort of main instruments. I got they're all made by Michael Greenfield, who's a luthier in Montreal, Quebec. You can go to FingerstyleGuitarists.com to check it out. But I've got sort of my standard guitar. It's a jumbo with Macassar ebony back and sides, and it's got fan frets and a couple of bevels on it for
What's
comfort.
up with fan frets?
Yeah, the fan frets, it's all about intonation. It's supposed to help with the intonation of the guitar.
Okay.
It plays more in tune everywhere. There's
cool.
been something that, you know, people have been kind of working on for a while on the guitar, where you have, you know, these 6 strings with the same scale length normally, but really you'd want to have longer scale lengths for the bass and shorter scale lengths for the treble. So the fan fret thing has a nut angled this way and a bridge angled that way, and just supposed to help play more in tune everywhere on the neck because of the proper scale.
And as a player, you found that's a credible narrative. That's something you found to be the case.
Yeah. There's also a method, the true temperament frets, which I actually had a guitar with that too, but it doesn't work if you start using altered tunings, I found. So,
okay.
But the frets look like weird squiggly lines. They're kind of unusual. I think I've always kind of, well, you know, going back again, like even to Eric Johnson, why I was drawn to him was more the melodic stuff. I mean, there's definitely, you know, through my teenage years and early 20s and stuff, was really, you know, focused on technique stuff and excited about it and all that. And, you know, that's still interesting, but I think underlying all of it, though, was just music always felt so profound to me. Like, it just, the way I can feel, you know, if I don't have any distractions and just have on some music that really can resonate with you in a different way, you know, really have a special connection with, you know, there's no other feeling like it. So that was always kind of underlying all this, even when I was getting into actually playing and learning techniques and things. And so, but, you know, like in the last maybe 10 or more years, maybe 10, 15 years, just started to really think about that more, you know, like, why do I like music, you know? Is it because of all these cool techniques, or is it because of the way it makes you feel, you know? So, you know, hearing a player like Stephen Bennett when I was like back in the year 2000 or so, you know, that really opened my eyes to the idea of, you know, like, melody again. You know, it's not all about these cool, crazy techniques and whatever, you know. Somebody has a really good melody that you can just make you feel so good, you know. That's the real important thing, you know. That's what became more important to me. And then I got to go to Taiwan in 2003 and tour with a couple of Japanese guitar players. One was Isato Nakagawa, and another one was Masaki Kishibe. And both of those guys, man, they really opened my eyes too. Kind of like Steven, you know, just especially I think maybe Masaki in the sense of melody again. You know, I was backstage and he was on stage doing sound check, and I was sort of playing this tune, and I went out and was like, "What in the world is that?" You know, it's just some nothing real complicated, but just beautiful, beautiful music. You know, and so that made me sort of refocus. You know, you want to try to write good music that'll be helpful to people. Even, you know, everyone has a hard time, you know, at some point, and so you write good music and make people feel good for a little while, and then you've really done something good. So we always had a piano around the house, yeah, and you know, so my new EP is called Mythmaker. The whole sort of idea behind that little EP is sort of respecting creativity and people that are creative. So like the tune Mythmaker itself is just kind of dedicated to anybody that's getting creative with their time. But yeah, there's a solo piano piece on there called June. It was dedicated to my maternal grandmother, and we always had a piano around the house. And I mean, I never had lessons or anything, but sometimes I would try to learn things on it when I was little. And when I was about 17, I heard Maple Leaf Rag, you know, on the TV on this sort of biography thing about Scott Joplin, and I was just like, man, I love that too. And so I got the sheet music, you know, and just worked really hard and figured it out. And then, you know, it was also that year I think the movie Schindler's List came out, and the theme from that by John Williams was just like the most tragic thing I ever heard in my life. And I was like, I want to learn to play that piano. So anyway, you know, I worked a bit on piano and got a little bit of left and right hand independence and all that. And so when this new EP was happening, I thought I'd try a little piano thing for fun, you know, and change it up a little bit. People are so used to me just doing the solo acoustic thing. I thought that'd be fun. And then there's another tune on there that actually has acoustic guitar, piano, and electric guitar. The final track on there is called Lumine. So thought I'd get real experimental with that and see how it goes. I'll give you the top two because they're kind of tied, I think, for maybe number one. One is Glasgow, Scotland. Every time I play there, the fans are just completely insane, and I feel like such a rock star. They're just like, Andy, you know, you're coming out on stage, it's like, oh man, I feel like a million.
Well, McKee, I mean,
yeah, there must be some little kinship there, you know. Yeah. But that's I love that. And then playing in Cologne, Germany, also actually, it kind of has a similar vibe. I always play this venue there called Gloria, and it's always sold out and whatever, and they're just same way. It's like,
there's some places that just seem to really have a great deal of respect for the fingerstyle medium, and Germany is just one of them.
Yeah.
Everybody I've ever talked to has always said that whenever I go over to Germany, wherever it may be, it's some of the best audiences. They're selling every venue they go to.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting to hear that they're that's them.
Totally agree. Yeah, Germany's probably my best place to get to. So yeah, we've got you know, a few more shows here in Hawaii or in Florida, and then we're going to Hawaii, and then the West Coast in December. A few gigs in Spain in December. Next year, I'll be over in Germany in the first part. Actually, I also really like to mention my guitar camp. This is a great place to do that, I guess.
Absolutely.
So we're doing this. This is the first time I've ever done one, but it's going to be in New York in August. I think it's like 3rd through the 7th. And it's
where in New York?
It's actually at a resort, and I think the name of the place is Big Indian. The name of the little town, I guess it's in. It's in the Catskills Mountains, and it's going to be me and Antoine Dufour, Stephen Bennett, and Billy McLaughlin. So it's going to be killer. We're going to have Michael Greenfield, the guy that builds my guitars. He's going to be talking about how he does that and everything that goes into it. Ernie Ball is going to be there. The guitar strings I use that set up everybody's guitars. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be really, really awesome. We only have 120 spots. We just announced it about a week ago, and it's already been starting to sell. So if you want to check it out, it's AndyMcKee'sMusicarium.com. That's MUSICARIUM, Musicarium.
I need to give you guys a little domain name guidance next time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really stoked for that next summer. And I should be doing some more stuff in the States. And then I'm going to Scandinavia and Russia. That stuff's already lined up next year too. So
do you still do the 2-week thing? And so you're flying from here to Europe and back and back and back and back.
Yeah. So yeah, it all works out. Fortunately, you know, since it's just such a lightweight operation, I don't have lighting guy. I don't have a sound guy. I just go out pretty much by myself. I'm in Europe, I'll have a guy there that I meet with, and he'll drive and do the tour management stuff.
Right.
So it's really, fortunately for me, being just a solo artist, it's not too expensive to go on the road, so I can go out for 2 weeks and it financially makes sense.